instructions in the video. So when I say to pause the video, I literally mean press the stop button on the video, do the problems, and then check your answers. Please make sure to check your answers so that you can come into class tomorrow knowing exactly what types of questions you don't understand so that we can help you in class. If you have any questions, please make sure to jot them down on your video worksheet and bring them in tomorrow so that, again, we can help you with anything that you have trouble with. So this slide is going to tell you how to convert decimals to percents. So in order to know that it's a decimal, you're going to see a decimal point in the number. When you see a decimal point in the number and you don't see a percent sign or anything else, you know that you're dealing with a number in the form of a decimal. So if you read the directions, it says move the decimal point 2 places to the right. When you do that, it's like multiplying the number by 100. It's just a shortcut. Once you're done moving the decimal point 2 places to the right, if it's at the end of a number, you're not going to need a decimal point anymore. You're just going to put a percent sign. Okay, but if it's in the middle of the number, you're going to leave the decimal point where it is and put a percent sign at the end of the number. There's no decimal point visible. That means you can't see a decimal point. You're going to start at the end of the number because all numbers have invisible decimal points at the end of them if they don't have a visible one that you can see in the number. So I'm going to start with 0.6. So if I have 0.6, I'm going to take the decimal point, I'm going to move it 2 places. When I move it 2 places, I have an empty spot. I have a placeholder. I need to put a 0. So that's going to equal 60%. I don't need this 0 anymore at the beginning of the number because we don't say 060. We just say 60. 0.72, we take the decimal point, we move it 2 places. It's at the end of the number. We don't need it anymore. So it's 72%. 0.485. I don't need that 0 as the first placeholder. I don't need to write that. Move it 2 places. Well, it's still in the middle of the number, so I'm going to leave the decimal point. Percent, 48.5%. Now I'm going to have 1.46. I'm going to move the decimal point 2 places. So 1.46, when I move it 2 places, I have greater than 100%. That should make sense to you because if your number is larger than 1, you should have more than 100%. If your number is smaller than 1, like 0.6 and 0.72 and 0.485, you should have less than 100%. 2, okay, if there is no decimal point visible, I don't see a decimal point, it is always invisible at the end of the number. So I'm going to make it visible at the end of the number. I'm going to move it 2 places. I have 2 empty spots, so it becomes 200%. So now it's your turn. You're going to pause the video right now. So all you're going to see are these 5 problems, and on your video worksheet, you are going to write these problems and you are going to write the answer to these problems. And then you're going to unpause the video and you're going to see if your answers make sense. If they agree with the ones on the video, you're going to put a check next to it. If they don't, you're going to put an X next to it and change the answer because those are the questions that you're going to have for me tomorrow in class. That you're going to say, hey, I don't understand why this question had this answer. So you're pausing the video now. So you've unpaused the video and now we're going to look at the answer. 0.7, move it 2 places, 70%. 0.64, you moved it 2 places, 64%. 0.235, 0.235, you move it 2 places, 23.5%. 1.24, you move it 2 places, 124%. 5, invisible decimal point, make it visible, move it 2 places, 500%, because those loop-de-loos, you put 0 in there. So in this slide, you're going to see how to turn a percent to a decimal. We looked at how to turn a decimal to a percent. We practiced how to turn a decimal to a percent, and now we're working the other way. We're going from a percent to a decimal. The directions say, replace the percent sign with a decimal point and move the decimal point 2 places to the left, which is like dividing by 100. If you already have a decimal point in the percent, drop the percent sign and use the existing decimal point to move 2 places to the left. So if I were to go through these examples, if I have 48%, it tells me to drop the percent sign and put a decimal point and then move it 2 places to the left. 0.48. 34.5%. I'm going to drop the percent sign, use the existing decimal point and move it 2 places. 0.345. 2%. Drop the percent sign, put a decimal point, move it 2 places. I got an empty space, I put a 0. 0.02. 4.1%. I already have a decimal in the percent. Move it 2 places. Fill it with a 0. 0.041. 1.23%. Drop the percent sign. Move it 2 places. 1.23. 256.2%. There's already a decimal point in the percent. I use it. I move it 2 places. And I get 2.562. It's a long decimal, but it's okay. So again, if I have greater than 100%, my number, 2.562, and 1.23 is going to be greater than 1. If I have less than 100%, my numbers are going to be less than 1. So just like you did on the other Your Turn slide, you're going to pause the video right now. You're going to do these 6 problems right on your video worksheet. So it's right there for me to look at when I come around to check homework tomorrow. And then you're going to unpause the video and you're going to make sure that your answers match. Pause it now. So if I had 72%, drop the percent sign, replace it with the decimal, move it 2 places to the left, 0.72. I could also put a 0 there. So it's either 0.72 or just 0.72, your choice. 83.4%, drop the percent sign. There's a decimal already there. Move that existing decimal 2 places to the left. 0.834. 3.5%. Drop the percent sign. There's a decimal there. 2 places. Fill in the loop-de-loo with the 0. 0.035. 4%. Drop the percent sign. Replace it with a decimal. 2 places to the left. Put a 0. Because there's an empty spot. 0.04. 127.4%. I already have a decimal. I'm going to use that decimal. Move it 2 places to the left. 1.274. 386%. Replace the percent with a decimal. Move it 2 places. 3.86. Notice, percents that are less than 100% are going to convert to decimals that are less than 1 whole. Percents that are greater than 100% are going to convert to decimals that are greater than 1.